I tell the ladies that they inspire me because I don't know. I was blessed with the life that I have, not without any trials and tribulations of my own. But I always tell them, you ladies inspire me so much because despite some of the things that you share with me that you've been through, you're sitting right here with me today in this spot. And you can go on and you can be great. And it's in you.
Hello, my name is Jay Evans, and you are listening to the Rescue Mission Podcast. I've got Blake and Matt here with me today. Our guest today is Karla Lipsey. She is the Senior Vice President of Program Operations at Charis House. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
So today we're going to talk about the Charis House. And as a friendly reminder, the Charis House is the Rescue Mission, and the Rescue Mission is the Charis House.
So just for clarity, it's not a part of the rescue mission at all? No, it is.
It is.
So the Charis House is
the
rescue mission.
It is. It's not run by the city.
Huh.
It's not like a private-owned
corporation.
It is the rescue mission.
Okay.
That's why I always introduce myself as the Senior Vice President of Program Operations for the Rescue Mission. I oversee the Charis House. Bring it all together.
There you go. So what is, if somebody's listening to this podcast and they have no idea what the Charis House is, what would you tell them?
The Charis House is the transitional housing situation for homeless women and children that come to the rescue mission for help.
Okay, and what goes on at the Charis House? Let's frame it this way. What does a regular day look like for somebody at the Charis House?
Well, there's different phases that you go through. We have different programs. We have our long-term program, short-term program, fresh start program. Ooh. Yeah, it's a lot that goes on there. So we have our ladies that come in that are in a housing crisis. Maybe they've had a house fire, or they've been evicted, or they've had troubles with their significant other or family members, and they needed to move out, but they may have a job, or they have some other kind of income. They don't have a lot of trauma and other things. They just need somewhere to be while they get themselves together and find another housing situation. Those are the ladies that would go into our short-term program.
Okay.
Because we're there helping them pull the resources that we have to help them find sustainable housing for them and their children, or them by themselves. Long-term program is a little more in-depth. We have the women that have deep-rooted traumas, some addictions, different things like that, and we can pull our resources in that respect to get them in some therapeutic services, get them some addiction counseling, make sure they're going to their NA classes, maybe getting sponsors and things like that. And this program is more 10 to 12 months, a little longer if need be, but we need them to be in the house, get acclimated to us, make sure we get all their resources. Some of them don't have vital records. We help them to obtain those, just whatever they need to become sustainable, and once they're out and stable, they have everything that they need. So it can be daycare services that they need to get attached to, but back to your original question, a day in a life, especially long term, they have classes that they go to. They wake up. We're all about time management.
Okay.
So they have to wake up 7 o'clock, get them and their children dressed, 7:30, have breakfast, get the kids to the in-house daycare by 8. Even though their classes and everything are going on in-house, they still need to manage things as if they were out on their own.
Yeah.
So they get their kids to daycare lunchtime. They pick their children up, take them to have lunch with them at noon. 1 o'clock, they're taking them back to the daycare for their naps, and then they're back into programming. So by 2:30, 3 o'clock, programming is done for the day. But that's what they do for the first few months if you're in the long-term program.
Okay.
You are in the house.
So are there different phases to the long-term program?
Yes, there's different phases. For a couple of months, you're in that phase where you're in the house, you're getting acclimated, time management, learning how to get your kids on a schedule and get yourself scheduled and things like that. Second phase, then they start going to Treasure House, which is our thrift store, and they learn to work there, and they're doing certifications and getting things so that they can become sustainable in their employment once they get to our third phase, which is LSSI or Blue Jacket, which are our work readiness programs that the women go into.
Okay. What about the short-term program? Are there different
Yes.
What does their programming kind of look like?
Their program looks like, well, we go by their work schedule. So
Okay.
it's kind of individualized. Some women work third shifts. So if you're in the house, you're not required to get up and go to the classes and things because we recognize that you've just gotten off work. But whatever you can participate in the house, we like them to do that just for even the social aspect, to get to know the other ladies. So it's more like home. If they work in the afternoon, then they are required to get up, go through the programming like the other ladies, go to the classes, devotion, chapel, different things like that. But then they go to work or wherever else they're obligated to be during the day.
As far as programming, what is one of the biggest hurdles for the women in programming as to maybe why they leave or no longer want to be a part of the program? A big hurdle, at least at the men's side of things, is so many people think in the community, hey, you just kicked them out. And no, we have a reason or a purpose for the programs and why they're in it.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing to abide by that, then at times we do unfortunately have to exit them.
Right.
What's a big hurdle for the women?
Well, I think the surrendering themselves to the program. We do have rules in the house, but it's at anyone's house. Like I tell them, at your house, you're going to have rules. If I have to come and live with you, there's going to be a certain set of things that I wouldn't do at my own house that you require me to do that I need to abide by because this is your space. So sometimes just getting them to a place where it's like, I'm going to get up at a certain time. I'm going to listen to these things, which ultimately are in place for them. It's for their sustainability. It's for what life is going to look like when you get yourself to the other side of the traumatic hurdle that you're jumping, the addictions hurdle that you're jumping, when you're getting to the place that you have to sustain for yourself. These rules are in the world. And that's a big thing, just getting them acclimated to that sometimes. But if we can get them to adhere to the programming for a couple of weeks, usually things kind of, smooth themselves out. But it takes a minute, and it's understandable. If I've been in the world doing me, whatever I want to do, I sleep when I want to sleep, I wake up when I want to, I eat what I want to, I go in the kitchen as I want to, and we're saying, well, no, you can't do that here. We have to talk about things have to be put in place. That's a hard pill to swallow because we always get 10 months or 12 months or is it that long, But when I haven't committed to anything, then it's hard for me to commit to a year in my life. So we understand that. So we try to walk alongside them, let them know, reassure them, you can do it, you'll be fine. And before we know it, it's like, oh my God, it's been a year. I need to, so it's just getting them to that space where they're doing something different. Because they're leaving and they're living this life a very different way from how things have been going for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes not by any fault of their own.
Yeah, let me jump on top of that. Do you feel like, you just like rattled off 100 different things that you all do.
I did.
And this is perfect. It seems like very thoughtful and
please stop me if you need to.
It sounds like you've been building this over time.
Yes.
So my question is, do you feel like you're rebuilding people, or do you feel like you're building people? Does that make sense?
I don't even feel like rebuilding because sometimes through the trauma, the addiction, different things like that, are they looking for who they were?
Right. Yeah.
Or are they trying to be someone totally different?
Right.
This trauma starts from when they don't have the decisions to make themselves. So I didn't decide to be in this space. I didn't decide to have all these traumatic events happen to me, and now I have all these defenses and I have all these coping skills that may be very unhealthy that I've had to garner in my life. So, nope, just trying to help them realize what they have deep inside, because we all have good things and bad things, unhealthy things and healthy things, but just helping them to realize you can persevere through all that. Some of these things may show up, but we're going to help you find some things that when they do, you can pull from your healthy side and get you through the next phase of your life.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's very important because as overall as the whole rescue mushin, as the rescue mushin, as the
is that us?
As our British counterpart.
That's us over there.
Oh boy, I was about to go down a road. As the rescue mission, I think overall, what we're trying to help people understand is that it's not just we fix this one thing and then everything's good.
And I think that's what had to do with my rattle. There's so many things in my mind that we do try to help them with, walk alongside them with, resources that we want to tap them into, the community that we want to come alongside them long after we're not a part of their lives anymore. So it just all kind of just snowballs in my mind. So
Well, and I think that's one of the hurdles we've actually experienced in the last few years as far as what is a healthy exit.
Right.
What does it look like when someone is leaving the program by choice, for instance, but we helped them through so many of these problems or steps or layers, whatever you want to use during their time here, that them leaving they're still leaving much healthier than when they showed up. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles we have externally, explaining to an external audience of this is what we do and this is how we help. And so many people think it's just a one size fits all answer, or why don't you just help that person? And it's like, well, one, they have to be ready to be helped, but two, they have to be willing to be helped. Even when at times they feel ready, there's still that wall, there's still that barrier that is keeping them from getting the help. And I think a lot of times it's fear, because they see the success happening and at times don't feel like they deserve it. So they intentionally sabotage themselves to stop it, or to do whatever they're back to their normal, which is I deserve nothing, I shouldn't get anything, and they walk away. And I think
their normal got them there.
yes, exactly.
Right?
So
we want to send them out with a different normal.
and how do we explain that to people externally that, hey, no, we're not pushing people away. Most times they push themselves away for one reason or another.
we see that all the time with the self-sabotaging. And usually it comes in the third phase, when they've gotten a job, they've been sustainable in that. They may have daycare, they may have housing on the horizon or whatnot, and then we start to see some of their old behaviors show up. They've been doing great and abiding by everything that we've asked them to, and then all of a sudden and we like to pride ourselves in recognizing early. We get to know them and their personality. We can see when things are shifting, when their personality shift, when they start to not be as open or willing to talk to us or different things like that. So we can pull them in and reassure them that we're not trying to kick you out. We're not trying to, push you into something that you're not ready for, because it's like, oh my goodness, I've been here this long and I've gotten all these things that I came here to get. Pretty soon they're going to be saying that it's time. So we always talk to them about that and see where they're at, see where their head is, see where their support systems lie, how the relations are with their family if they have one, and what are their reservations, so that we can talk them through that. And just reassuring, if it's, I don't know if I'm strong enough to be out here by myself. You can always come back to chapel. You can come back to devotion. You can come here. You can call us. Like, we always make ourselves readily available, especially for the women, because they came in one way, and now I'm leaving I've never lived with her before. And the whole time I've been her, I've had this support system that's been keeping me in alignment with my goals and, what I'm supposed to do. And now I'm going into this house by myself. What do I do? I've gotten this car. Some of them obtain a vehicle while they're there. I've gotten a car. I'm scared of myself. I can come and go as I please. I can bring who I want home with me. What is that going to look like?
Well, support system, you just said it. And it's actually, we were talking about this earlier today about building an entire support system around the individual. And that's one of the key indicators if someone is going to see that long-term success that we hope for everyone. So it's interesting you say that they go out and do it. Just to clarify, we set them up with support systems. And
we do.
We help them get into groups and other places that will help them stay on top of their program.
Yeah. Make sure if it's addictions that there's a sponsor. Make sure that they've been going steadily to their NA or AA meetings and how those have been, and finding one in the community that they're most comfortable with. Because sometimes you go to one, that crowd's not my, crowd, but they'll find one that they're more comfortable with. And if it's trauma or things like that, or some of them just have never been alone. And I don't know if the men have this as much, but we do know that women can get a codependency. They're with men for 10, 12 years, and sometimes I just was not the breadwinner. I wasn't the one that was taking care of the house. Now I've gotten out of the situation. What do I do next? I don't really know how to. So our programming even entails, one of our classes is our HEAL class, a class where they go learn how to do things in the kitchen. We teach them how to clean, because some people assume innately, for people in general, especially for girls and women, that you know how to clean a house, that you should know how to cook something. Some of them have never had that opportunity. So we make sure you do have this in your repertoire as well when you go out into the world.
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking a lot about building a relationship and keeping a relationship.
Yes.
Right, with people, and that's part of the network of things that we're talking about. What are the particular challenges that you have? So we have a men's house and we have a woman's house. Why two houses? You know, what are the particulars of that maybe people don't know?
Well, I would say, for one, safety. Depending on what kind of situation they've come out of, even if the men aren't a threat or our staff is good enough to make sure that they aren't threatened by the men, it's a comfortability. You may see a man that reminds you of your abuser or reminds you of somebody that you've come in contact with that was more dominant over you. I even see that we have an emergency shelter for our women as well. I see that in some of the women that come over because they start here at the men's building, check in, different things like that, dinner, and then they're transported over to the Charis House. Sometimes it's just like a sigh of relief because they're safe. Sometimes they'll come through the door and say, I feel so comfortable here, you know, different things like that. And that is what is encouraging to us as a staff and keeps us going, because there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges with the houses being separate, why that is. There's a lot of challenges with encouraging them to stay put and things will be fine. We'll make sure you get what you need.
It's removing distractions too, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I've heard that boys like girls and girls like boys.
Oh, yeah, that's a big thing, too. I didn't talk about the relationships. Oh, that's a whole nother.
We can come on back to it.
It's, yeah.
Jay
it's
is
a thing.
Masterful.
It's a thing.
Editor.
So I'm imagining boys like girls and girls like boys. You gotta keep that in there.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's not going anywhere.
I have heard.
It's getting them. That's a big challenge.
Sure.
Relationships, because I don't know exactly why, and I don't want to speculate, but they get into relationships on the internet. They are blended with the men for a couple of activities we may have, and the next thing I know, I have 2-3 relationships. And I do, and the other staff at the Charis House, we always try to the Rescue Missions Charis House. We always try to reiterate, we're not trying to stop you from being in a relationship, because, you know, that's what the world is all about. Being in a relationship, having somebody to grow old with, all those things. We want you to think about your past and think about what you want to be in a relationship. You don't want to be what you were because we've heard the stories, we've talked to you about them. That's not who you want to go into a new relationship as. So let's focus. Let's focus on your goals, focus what you're here for. It's only 1 year out of your entire life to be in a relationship. Let's just focus. So we try to keep them on that.
A relationship with themselves.
A relationship with yourself, a healthy relationship with yourself. And then you can take yourself into, and you attract better people too.
So that's really easy from a helicopter view. But what does it look like to go from that place of being codependent, let's say all of your adult life, to a point where you have to learn that that's not the way of life anymore? How is Charis House addressing that?
Therapy.
Yeah.
We have therapeutic services. We also work with Park Center as well, Parkview, to have therapists there. But we have a lot of intern therapists that come in. If the women aren't comfortable, we can't make them do anything, but we encourage them. Some of them aren't even comfortable going out of the house right now, or they're not from here, so finding their way around. You know, they're not from the area. But we do have therapists that come in to introduce them to therapy. So starting to talk about those things, and as they go through their meetings with case management, they talk to them about their trials and tribulations and what they've been through. Codependency is usually right in there, so that's a recommendation of what you go and talk to your therapist about as well. And as well as some of our individual talks. We have our case management, we have our large group meetings, we have group therapy. Some of our intern facilities come in and conduct group therapy, and then the individual therapy that they have as well.
And just to kind of blow this up beyond just the Rescue Mission's Charis House, like, this is a national problem. This would happen in other cities, other areas. I think a big part of what we did with this podcast is we want it to be locally focused, but it's adaptable or understandable across any area or anything you're looking at. And I think what you're talking about, these core concepts, are things that they would see at any rescue mission across the country.
Well, so I'll be the pastory guy, right? So Charis means grace.
Charis means grace, yes.
Just off the cuff, how does grace show up? How have you seen grace show up? I mean, it shows up not like the person Grace.
Yeah, I don't know anybody named Grace right now. I have. But at the Charis House, it shows up as allowing the women to be who they are, to make their mistakes, and just be there to encourage, support them, and always let them know that there's another chance. Like, we're not going to exit you or put you out of the Charis House or give up on you because who you have grown to be, learned to be, or even chosen to be shows up. We can't even do our jobs if we don't know. We've had women come in, and some women, some individuals in general, are adaptable. They can come in and work the program like no other, but no real change is happening within them. There's no introspect, there's no real change, but they can come in, they can be up at 7, we have no troubles. And I always tell them, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay to express it. Whatever you're thinking, it's okay to tell us. And it can be 6 months, and something may happen where they'll have an episode, an issue of whatever. And I'm like, they're waiting. And when they come in with me and we're talking, and they say, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, because they've tried to stay. No vulnerability, they've tried to stay. And I said, no, don't apologize to me, because I've been waiting to meet her.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay. Now let's talk about what she needs, how she needs to heal.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have got there.
I wouldn't have gotten there. I don't need you to come here. I know you've gotten in this situation some way, shape, or form. It wasn't a choice that I'm not going to have anywhere to live. I'm just going to be outside. I'm going to go to this communal living place because, hey, it looks like it'll be easier. That's nobody's choice. So there's some way that you got here. And there's something in you that reflects that. And it's okay. So I keep saying I, because I'm not an individual at the Charis House, but we're up for the challenge. We need to see that. And we need to be able to show them grace in those moments. Yeah. And that's what we do.
If I could, 2 last things that I think would be really interesting. I don't know if you guys have any more questions, but I want to hear what gives you joy about the Charis House, and then I also want to hear
the Rescue Mission's Charis House.
The Rescue Mission's Charis House. I also want to hear. I can't.
I love this place.
The Rescue Mission's Charis House.
Yes.
I want to hear what you would like people to know that they may not know. Right?
Okay.
So joy and what you want people to know that they may not.
I would like people to know that we meet you where you are. It's an individual journey for every woman that comes into the house, but we're the strongest collectively. That's why if there is an issue beyond our control, there have been issues where women have done things that they do have to be exited from the house, and they may come back in 6 months, whatever. My message is always, I care about each one of you individually and your walk, and your journey to sustainability. But as a whole, I have to think about the collective triggers, the collective traumas, the collective things that the majority of these ladies have endured that I have to think about when there's something that goes on in the house or things go awry. But ultimately, we want people to understand that we are there to help. We are there to walk alongside you. We are there to introduce you to God. We are there to reintroduce you to God. We are there to pray with you. Every meeting that we go into, I pray us in because we are people too. We have our own things that go on in our lives, and we can't always show up for the women the way they need if we're coming in raw. So we always have to stay covered. We always have to have God in the room with us. So you will get that when you come to the Rescue Missions Charis House.
I know this from stopping in. Y'all are ready to pray at the
We're
top
ready.
Of the hat.
We have to stay. We have to stay ready.
I think that's something you have to teach to the rest of us right around here.
It's a lot of prayer when I'm here at this building. We're praying in and out.
Yeah.
You guys cover me so that I can go over there and cover them. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But yes, just know that we're here to help you. And like it was said earlier, that we can't help unless you're ready. There are certain things that you do have to come with. The willingness to be vulnerable. Sometimes, like I stated, you have to be sick of yourself. Because if I have any more street fight in me or living this unhealthy lifestyle in me, I'm probably not going to surrender as much as I need to for any of us to walk alongside. I tell the ladies all the time, I said, I'm not here to pull you through this program, but we're going to walk alongside you and we're going to hold your hand in the hard moments. But you have to bring something to let us know that I'm ready. I'm going to do this. So I just want everybody to know that we're here to help, that we're here to give you the resources. That's part of what we do. That's what the programming team does. We go out there and we partner with different organizations and agencies that you may not have had any knowledge of along your journey. You may not even know exist to help you in these places. So when you come to us, we're going to help you. We're going to lock you into each of these things. We're going to bring them in and have meetings with them. We're going to help schedule things. We'll give you, transportation is not part of what we do, but we have had some dire situations where we will make sure you get to your appointment. We will make sure your medications can be dropped off to you if need be. So we're going to do as much as we can to give you what you've never had.
Awesome. So, Karla, it has been such a blessing and a joy to hear you talk about something that you're obviously passionate about.
I am. I love it every day. And I tell the ladies that they inspire me because I don't know. I was blessed with the life that I have, not without any trials and tribulations of my own. But I always tell them, you ladies inspire me so much because despite some of the things that you share with me that you've been through, you're sitting right here with me today in this spot. And you can go on and you can be great. And it's in you.
Right on.
Karla, thank you for coming on the podcast. This was a ton of fun. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did.
I did. I had a great time. Invite me back.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We'll invite you back. If this is your first time listening to the Rescue Mission podcast, we invite you to subscribe, follow, leave a rating behind. We appreciate your listening. We'll see you next time.